Presented by ICICI Securities.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
Hello and welcome to Decoding Business Growth Season 3. I am your host A.B. Ravi. The company on our radar this week is quite different. It is a service provider that has incorporated the goodness of FMCG companies. And the company's approach of replicating FMCG model has enabled it to capture the mind and wallet space of mega players operating in the mutual fund industry space. Computer Age Management Services is more popularly known by its acronym CAMS. The company is basically behind the scene player that comes into play every time an investor buys or sells mutual fund units. This buy-sell action by millions of investors translates into billions of transactions simultaneously. This in turn triggers zillions of action at the back end, which is efficiently, effectively and quietly managed by CAMS. No wonder this technology-driven company has been roped in by India's top mutual fund players to handle the crucial back end. Result, CAMS has emerged as the market leader with 63% market share. Take a look at CAMS' story. It shows why patience and perseverance eventually pay.
The numbers tell you the story. 6 out of every 10 transactions in the Indian mutual fund industry are processed by the Chennai-based Computer Age Management Services or CAMS. Annually, this behind-the-scenes player handles some 15.1 crore financial transactions and 1.8 crore non-financial transactions. If these buy-sell transactions of millions of units could be assessed or evaluated, then it would be a whopping 196 lakh crore rupees. Besides handling these billion transactions annually, CAMS also makes it possible for 60 lakh investors to open new mutual fund accounts, handles a staggering 1.8 crore service requests, personally attends to 40 lakh phone calls, sends a mind-boggling 13.7 crore SMS triggers annually, besides delivering monthly statements to 3.3 crore investors. These zillion actions are done by an army of over 6,000 employees operating out of 269 plus service centers and 2 back offices. What makes this gargantuan task possible is the company's heavy investment in technology and people. The result, CAMS is able to offer a comprehensive suite of products for the mutual fund industry. This includes services like accepting and executing orders, settlement process, record keeping, compliance, fees and commissions dispersals, front office services, scheduled mailback, investor portfolio statements and etc. The entry of CAMS has taken the load off from the mutual fund houses to invest in the back-end operations. They are now able to concentrate on their main business of selling SIPs. Not surprisingly, CAMS boasts of an impressive clientele list. It serves over 15 asset management companies, which include the likes of Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund, HDFC Mutual Fund, ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund, SBI Mutual Fund, Mahindra Mutual Fund, Tata Mutual Fund, amongst others. Servicing these well-known brands has helped CAMS capture 63% of the market share and emerge as India's premier mutual fund transfer agency. So how did this company come into being? To hark back in time, the promoter, V. Shankar, was born into a middle-class family in Chennai. He did his schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya across the country, since his father worked as an engineer in the railways that saw frequent transfers. After his schooling, he did his ME from the prestigious IIT Madras and later did his MBA from IIM Kolkata in 1983. With such a strong academic background, he was selected by Pons. It is here that he developed an interest for data processing. But in 1987, Pons was taken over by Unilever. With the change in management, Shankar decided to quit and set his own business in the area of software development.
Those were the days when computing in the corporate context was just getting introduced. In fact, I still remember a very clunky first PC which worked slower than a mobile phone would these days. I think it stemmed from my interest in computing and what it could do for business, which was not widely appreciated. So perhaps there were a few people like me who understood what computing could do to business. So I did feel at that time, perhaps a little prematurely, all things considered, that there was a great case for an IT services company. We call them IT services company these days, but in those days it was just a computer company.
Thus, Swati Enterprises was set up in 1987 to focus on data entry and software development for SMEs. A year later, sensing opportunity in the area of computer education and software development, Shankar had set up Computers Age Management Services. But this business had its limitations in terms of growth and acceptability. This forced Shankar to look for newer business opportunities in the financial sector. Coincidentally, this sector was undergoing a massive transformation with the rise of Rajiv Gandhi and later with the opening up of the economy under the stewardship of P.V. Narasimha Rao.
Today there is a term for it. It is called pivoting in the startup world. We didn't know those terms then, but the reality is that you start with something in mind and then you find the opportunity somewhere else. So you have to take the opportunity. You can't be wedded to something that you started off. So yes, we wanted to be an IT services company, we wanted to be in education, and we did all those things. But we found finally that our true calling was in financial services and associated software.
With the market booming and a new class of investors entering the capital market, the back-end operation was increasing by leaps and bounds. And as luck would have it, Reliance Consultancy Services, part of the Reliance Group, roped in CAMS for an investor relationship center in Chennai. CAMS had to handle and service the investors, which were increasing every day due to the equity cult unleashed by the late Dhirubhai Ambani. This experience stood them in good stead, and Shankar decided to replicate the same in the IPO space. The response was encouraging. Soon, CAMS successfully handled IPOs of Ipca Laboratories, Wockhardt and many others. But in 1992, Parliament passed the SEBI Act and the National Stock Exchange of India was set up the same year with a mandate to provide screen-based electronic trading systems to investors across the country. A year later, the NSE introduced trading in dematerialized form. And in 1996, the NSDL was set up to handle the storage of security instruments in demat form. Given these modernization drives and the dearth of IPOs, it soon became clear to Shankar and his team that the company would need to seek new directions to grow. Fortunately, an opportunity presented itself by way of the mutual fund industry.
We got into mutual funds a little bit by accident, so I cannot say that there was some great thought process or something, but having got into it, we realized pretty soon that a mutual fund is actually an FMCG product masquerading as a security. Why? Because one, it has to be sold. Two, it is reasonably fungible. A liquid fund from A fund is pretty much the same as a liquid fund from A, just as A soap is same as a different soap. So marketing, sales and those disciplines make a lot of difference to the success or otherwise of the product, just as with an FMCG product. The way we were positioned, our services were positioned, is we were sitting between the manufacturer and the customer. So basically everything the customer saw of the product, starting from transaction convenience to life cycle services to product features, all of those could and are enabled by what we provide. This is a position of great responsibility and great stickiness.
With a proven track record of flawless execution of IPOs, a robust system and a wide network of branches coupled with an experienced and committed team, CAMS was able to resolve investors' complaints within 24 hours against the general practice of 30 days. This was seen as revolutionary by the mutual fund industry and many came on board. First was Alliance Capital, followed by JM Mutual Fund, DSP Merrill Lynch and Kotak Mahindra. With more and more AMCs coming on board and business picking up, Shankar decided to professionalize the company. He stepped down as a CEO in 2010 and appointed N.K. Prasad as the new CEO of CAMS.
So soon after my graduation from management school, I worked for about 20 years in Hindustan Unilever Group, out of which the last 12 years was in exports. As the export businesses became non-strategic, the emerging category of financial services attracted me, and at the same time CAMS was needing the senior management team to realize the growth potential. So that is how I came into CAMS.
Shankar's decision to bring in professional management in the company is yielding rich dividends. CAMS' income has almost doubled from 273 crore rupees in FY 2012 to over 500 crore rupees in FY 2017. Likewise, profits moved up from 51 crore rupees to 90 crore rupees during the same period. On that note, it's time for a short break. When we come back, CNBC TV 18's AB Ravi chats up with Pritish Kandoi of ICICI Securities to understand the anatomy of CAMS. Stay tuned. Welcome back. CAMS' perspective of looking at mutual funds as an FMCG product attracted leading mutual fund players to its fold. Impressed by its clientele list, well-known financial institutions picked up a stake in CAMS. Today, it is jointly owned by the National Stock Exchange, HDFC Group, and ACES Investments, the founding promoter. To understand what made NSE and HDFC pick up stake in the company, CNBC TV 18's AB Ravi caught up with Pritish Kandoi of ICICI Securities. This is what he has to say. Take a look.
Pritish, welcome to the show. Pritish, may I begin by asking you, do you think CAMS has a first mover advantage because of its heavy investment in technology, which is why it has got a significant market share?
I think essentially what worked for them was three things. One is they created a customer service proposition which far exceeded client expectations. Second, they took an ecosystem or a partnering approach to the mutual fund business. So they created engagement across levels of mutual fund business, be it origination, be it customer service, be it distribution, and they enabled services around that. The third thing is they kept on with the pace of time, which was changing. The mutual fund industry was growing and also becoming sophisticated, and they did all that to put up to the requirement of the clients. So naturally the market share moved to them because of the alignment that they created with the mutual fund industry.
What is it about CAMS that singularly appeals to you when you look at their competition and the industry as a whole?
I think customer centricity is something which really stands them apart. They've created an extremely outwardly focused organization with a extremely high employee responsibility and a sense of duty. See, please bear in mind that they have intensively used technology to automate most of their processes. But having said that, there are 6,000 plus people who are working day in, day out, creating a turnaround time of a day with a 99.99% kind of a transactional accuracy to make it all happen. The business of today cannot be postponed for tomorrow. It has to be all processed today itself.
Okay, I want your comment here. The promoter V. Shankar stepped down from the executive role and brought in well-known partners like HDFC and NSE. What do you think about this professionalization drive of institutionalizing the whole thing?
Well, Shankar has done a marvelous job in terms of broad-basing his shareholders base. SDFC and NSE both are organizations of very high repute. And this is also important and lends a lot of credibility in the context that the business that they are running is a market infrastructure services. The second thing is Shankar has taken an early role as a trainer and a mentor for his organization. So the current leadership in the management he has groomed pretty appropriately so that the transition becomes smoother when he stepped out of the executive role.
The other thing that there is a homespun company, a made in India company, which is looking only at made in India market right now. Do you feel they should cast a net wide and look at the overseas market, or the India market is good enough for them to go ahead?
So if you really see, when they started, the mutual fund industry was a 50 billion rupee industry. Today it is more than a 20 trillion rupee industry. So The industry has grown exponentially. The requirement of the industry in terms of sophistication has grown many folds. They were busy really servicing their clients rather than spreading themselves thin, looking at various other things. That said, they have ventured into areas which synergizes with their current business in terms of insurance repository, KYC for banks, NBFCs, account management for AIFs, etc. So they have looked at diversification more functionally than geographically.
Yeah, Dr. On diversification, do you feel they can grow at the current level, 2x, 3x, 4x, whatever it is right now? Or they need to diversify to newer areas to insulate the business?
So if you see mutual fund industry in India is a growth industry. We are seeing monthly 20-25,000 crores of mutual fund flows, equity flows coming into mutual funds. 7,000-8,000 crore of SIP coming into mutual fund. We are seeing a lot of growth coming in from the younger demographics. We are seeing a lot of growth coming from beyond 15 cities in high double digit. So if the market remain buoyant, mutual fund industry itself can show you exponential growth.
Okay, the final question is, it's an unlisted company, but looking at the IPO flavor now, should they unlock the value? What would be your advice to them?
So Ravi, CAMS is not a capital intensive business. They need to invest into technology, but they have strong cash flows. Out of internal accruals, they've been investing into technology from time to time to keep themselves modern, updated. But at the same time, shareholders may look at unlocking value at an appropriate time, and they may choose public market as an option. Public market listing obviously enhances the brand positioning of the company. It improves brand visibility, etc. So far as the market acceptance is concerned, I think it's a strong business. It's a scaled business, strong cash flows, highly profitable, and it's a pretty dominant market share in a growing industry. Investors like all of that. But so far as timing is concerned, I think for good companies, investors are always interested.
Okay, sure. Pritesh, thanks a lot for being on the show. And nice to have you here.
Thank you, Ravi.
Well, that was Pritesh Kandoi's take on CAMS. On that note, it's time for another short break. On the other side, we take a look at the road ahead for the company. Welcome back. CAM's ability to handle mountains of data and digitize paperwork has proved to be a big boon for the mutual fund industry. All taxing paperwork as well as compliance requirements are taken care of by CAMS. This has allowed the management of mutual fund companies to concentrate on their core business.
The relationship basically has gone from strength to strength, and we have found, particularly of late, that they have tried to keep in pace with the times and the needs of the customers. The composition of the top management team itself has changed and become more broad-based. Not all of it is from the industry. There is a conscious effort on their part to upgrade their technologies. They have demonstrated an ability to handle volumes, but the critical part of it is that they are trying to keep in step with the client's own ambitions and to tailor their processes accordingly.
The management's ongoing investment in technology has been the cornerstone of CAM's success. It has given the company flexibility, domain capability, and scalability to handle the explosive growth of the mutual fund industry.
Technology is a key business enabler for us, and we are basically a technology company which is creating and delivering the investor-centric solutions to the mutual fund market. And our solutions are catering to the investors, the distributors, and the asset managers as well. So some of the examples where we have leveraged the emerging technologies and the consumer trends are in the form of the mobile apps that we have launched for the investors. The retail investors or the individual investors have something called MyCAMS as a mobile app, which is a very popular app. More than 1 million users are currently using it, and this app gives enormous amount of convenience to the investor to transact seamlessly using his mobile at any given point in time, and he can review his portfolio, review his performance at any point in time across all the funds which are serviced by CAMS. So this is one such example. We have a similar offering for the institutional investors, which is called GoCorp, which again is very popular among corporate investors. And in addition to this, we have a number of technology-based solutions that we have offered to the distribution community, because that's a key constituent in the mutual fund industry. So the distributors get, for example, eKYC apps, or the mobility kind of solutions that we provide in the form of tablets which are 3G and 4G enabled, where you can virtually distribute the mutual fund anywhere in any corner of the India, including in remote kind of locations, and which allow seamless transaction processing and even acceptance of money from the investors and so on and so forth. These are some of the examples of what we provide to the distributors.
Leveraging its vast technology, infrastructure and deep experience in customer servicing, CAMS has also forayed into other segments of the BFSI industry. It has partnered with private life insurance, private equity funds, banks, non-banking finance companies to provide technology-enabled service solutions.
Our predominant focus would be to sustain our journey as a valuable private addition to the Indian financial infrastructure. We believe that is the achievement that we have had in the last 2 decades of our serving the mutual fund community, and we would like to continue on that growth path. And innovation, service excellence and differentiated service offerings are going to be the key drivers for continuing this journey. So I would definitely expect that in the next 5-year time frame, if the current trends continue, we should at least be able to triple the investor accounts, and obviously the transaction volumes and our services are going to be much more than that, and in that process we should be looking forward to a revenue growth of at least 100% and a similar profit growth.
Well, if CAMS is able to replicate what it has done for the mutual fund industry in the insurance and NBFC space, then we will see a whole new CAMS emerging, an 800-pound gorilla that is tough to beat. Competition, watch out.
Well, the CAMS management seem to have set the sights even higher. What impresses me about the promoter V. Shankar is that as an entrepreneur, he constantly kept reinventing himself to seek the right business opportunity. And eventually, he had his eureka moment. The short message is, don't give up. Be at it and you will eventually succeed. On that thinking note, it is time to say goodbye. See you next week with another interesting episode. Till then, keep watching CNBC TV 18.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Presented by ICICI Securities.